So, sitting is the new training. Passivity is super important if you really want to be a high performer. Just out of curiosity, who has slept really well last night? How would you know that you've slept really well? You tracked it. Fantastic. This is what we're going to discuss, if the tracker is really right in giving you the feedback that you slept well. Who in the audience just slept okay? Okay, that's more. Who has slept really crappy last night? So we got to figure out a way to address this issue. More than 60% in this room have slept suboptimal. So there definitely is a market for looking at activity and recovery markers. So where do I come from? I'm a sports physician. I look after our German ice hockey national team, and everybody's figured out training. Most of the teams know when to set good training stimulus, but the problem is the bio-individuality leads to different patterns of recovery. And for the startup sector, it's a different game. You have a different lifestyle than Cristiano Ronaldo. You have Champions League finals every day, day in, day out, Monday to Saturday, Monday to Sunday, whatever your work week looks like. So you want to make sure that you can work really hard. It's cognitive work, leads to different processes in your body than physical work, but a lot of the tech entrepreneurs are also fond of CrossFit, high-intensity interval training, because it's the best bang for the buck. You want to have short bursts of intense exercise to be ready to kick ass, to be an authentic leader, to make it through the startup life. In the last 20 years as a doctor, I've seen many individuals showing up at my practice who were overworked, who worked hard, who practiced hard, and suffered from overuse injuries. But in the last 20 years, nobody showed up in my practice who was over-recovered. So that's a syndrome we haven't seen yet. Perhaps with the help of 7Mind and all the other gadgets, perhaps that could be a future problem. We don't know yet. But one of the key takeaways for you as an audience from the fit tech scene is, if you want to work hard, if you want to play hard, you really got to come up with strategies to recover even harder, to kick ass the next day. So what's going on? Recharging your batteries overnight. That is the holy grail in our life. So we are tons of gadgets out there that tell us to move better, move more, work harder, but we haven't solved the problem of recharging yet. Our body is only able to function at its best in very tiny steps. The moment our body temperature raises just by 1 degree, that's what we call fever, you are no longer at the best of your game. The moment you change the pH levels, the moment you lose energy, the moment you just lose 2% of your body water, which is basically sleeping overnight. Overnight, you will lose about 500 to 1,000 milliliters of water. And that's already dehydration. 10% less cognitive function, less endurance function. So we want to get back to the original stage, which we call homeostasis. This is where the body works at its best. Everything is in balance. And you can do that by cooling down, by giving yourself a nice self-massage, by using cold water immersion techniques. You can even use cryo techniques where you have a tank with liquid nitrogen cooling your body down to 190 degrees minus. And then we can use nutritional elements, heat, and also different techniques. What are the markers that we track in pro sports? We look at enzymes from your muscles. We look at inflammation markers. We look at growth hormones. We look at the more accessible stuff like EKG signaling. We can use stress markers through the EKG. And then we have all the lab tests. Lab test is invasive, not suitable for everybody, but the wearables and the stick-on electrodes, that's a good thing for you to invest in the future. Why passivity is the new activity? Because some of the crucial elements only happen when you sleep properly. So what needs to happen overnight that we go back to homeostasis and that we have an additional effect from the training and the work of the previous day? Training always leads to inflammation. If there's no blood, sweat, and tears, it wasn't a good training, and no good training ends without inflammation. So the body needs to deal with inflammation overnight. Since we kill cells, since we have a high metabolism, we also create toxins, metabolic byproducts, waste products, and we need to get rid of these. That's detox overnight. Then we want to have learning, and usually during the night, our hard disk drive erases about 97% of the impressions that we had during the day. And only in a good dream state, we manage to keep these 3%. If you don't have a proper dream state, you kill 99% of the impressions of last day and no learning applies. And only if you are able to sync your breathing with your heart in a ratio 1 to 4, one breath every 4 heartbeats, you will release growth hormone that makes you better, stronger, faster, more bulletproof in the long run. You said you use a wearable to analyze your sleep. And the funny thing, if you look at this ratio of precision of the analysis and the cost, the wearables at the bottom left, because most of the wearables produce nice graph, but the method that they use is bullshit. They use just the accelerometers, and movement is not a good indicator for good sleep. It's probably even better to use a journal or a questionnaire. And this is what, for example, the soccer club of Hertha BSC Berlin does. Every day, they have standard 5 questions: how they slept, how they feel when they woke up, and how refreshed they felt when they woke up. That's even better than using a wearable, because your body actually knows when it's rested. It doesn't know where the problem lies when you're not rested. This is where we come into play. But if you're rested, everything is fine. If you're not rested, we need to dig deeper, and this is where we use the medical grade stuff. This is the latest technology that we use in pro sports. It's an EKG recorder, accelerometer, temperature device. You stick it on your chest, wear it overnight, and then we'll see exactly what's going on. It's 96% as accurate as a sleep lab, and if you look at the sleep lab, you really don't want to do that, because you probably won't have a good night of sleep if you're wired up like this, and this is really hardcore stuff. If you look at the measurement methods, so the good quality signals come from ECG readings, so that's the heart with an electrical signal. The more common one, which is growing and growing, is the photo-optic sensor, which you find in your Apple iWatch, which you find in most of the wearables, but it's just the change in color of your skin, and then they assume it's a heartbeat. The cool thing that we use also in pro sports is an electromechanical film that we put underneath the mattress, and we play Big Brother's watching you with players remotely, where I can spot how the players behave in the season. And when Patrice just said that Cristiano Ronaldo goes into these 90-minute increments, this is exactly what we can see in our somnogram, the sleep analysis. So we see that you go through these cycles. You have deep sleep, you have light sleep, you have dream sleep. Initially, you want to have higher levels of deep sleep. They slowly wash out, and you want to see no deep sleep when you wake up. And then you have these REM sleep phases throughout the night to make sure that you also have the learnings. We can even identify these ratios of your different sleep states. We can even tell if the training that you're currently doing suits your morphology of your muscle type, of your genetic typing of your heart. We see if your body is already able to fall asleep, if you get rid of all the toxins from the day, and we can even tell if your training status is good. So, the wrap up. What is your takeaway for tonight? If you really want to make sure you have bulletproof, high levels of performance the next day, you make sleep a priority. If you do not manage to clock 6 hours of sleep every night, you will run into problems in the long run. If you wake up not fully rested after 6, 7.5 hours, you have a problem. You need to change your circadian rhythm throughout the day to have a better night in the upcoming days. If you have any questions, feel free to grab me at the end of the session. I'm more than happy to answer them. Good night. Sleep tight.